What is up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Thunderburst SMG and why I still think it is the most underrated weapon in Fortnite Chapter 5. As always, if you guys do find this video helpful, informative, interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below what you think of the Thunderburst SMG, or if you've been sleeping on this weapon and you're going to try it. So, I made a tier list video yesterday ranking all the items, and I had a decent amount of people asking, like, well, why I have this in S tier, and also why I don't use it very often. We'll get to that later on in the video. And just in general, recently I've been getting asked like what I think of the Thunderburst SMG a decent amount, like independent of that video. So the Thunderburst SMG is incredible. It's been insane for all of Chapter 5, and one of the main things that makes it ridiculous, in addition to just it's a good gun as far as like damage, fire rate, all the factors you would evaluate a weapon, it's very good. But what makes it busted is that when you equip a laser sight on it, it no longer has any bloom or spread at all, and it's perfectly accurate. Even if you have no sight on it, if you put the laser sight on it, like you have it as like the third person version, if you have laser, it will have no spread when aimed on sights or hip fired. It's just incredible. And this makes an already good weapon great. You know, like perfectly accurate hip fire is nothing to sleep on. Like that's going to make it very dominant in close range fights, but that's also going to make it very good if you choose to shockwave at somebody, because you can hit much more shots with a weapon that has perfectly accurate hipfire from the air than you would with like a traditional AR like the Warforged or the Nemesis. So it works great with like really aggressive play styles. If you body somebody with snipe and then go to push them, and then also have the potential to maybe hit like a few shots out of the burst on them as you're shockwaving at them, and then you swap to your shotgun, not only did you put so much pressure on that person as you like traveled to them in terms of like the snipe and the burst damage and just like the total amount of damage, it makes it very chaotic for that person. They're going to be much weaker, and it's very easy for you to follow that up with just one shotgun shot or two shotgun shots and get that super easy kill. So the fact that it's perfectly accurate hipfire isn't only good in very close range fights. I've seen that be a decent kind of knock that some people have against it, is like, oh, I'm not going to be up close to using an SMG anyway, so I'm just going to use my shotgun. And like, true for the most part, but the fact that you could just like hit maybe an additional like 20 to 80 damage on somebody as you're shockwaving to them is not insignificant at all, and it makes it a lot easier to clean up kills that maybe would have taken a bit longer otherwise. And I think this is also even better now than it was last season, because of the Gatekeeper shotgun. The Gatekeeper shotgun is incredible, but its main drawback is just its magazine size. And so you're more likely to have to go to a follow-up weapon with the Gatekeeper shotgun than you were last season with the Frenzy Auto, I think. So in those situations, I definitely would rather have the Thunderburst SMG over the Warforged AR, and I'm someone who loves the Warforged AR, but being able to swap to perfectly accurate hipfire with a weapon that'll do like 90-ish damage or more for like every burst you hit is just like incredible. And it combos really well with the Gatekeeper shotgun. Even if you have drum mag and you're able to get 5 bullets, sometimes that's not enough in like team game modes or situations where you're just getting like chain third partied. So being able to go to the burst is very good, I think. And the prevalence of the Gatekeeper shotgun, or kind of like how important that is in the meta, I think makes the Thunderburst even better than it was last season. And some players might be kind of like turned off by running an SMG instead of an AR because they feel like they're going to be so limited on range, but it really isn't that inconvenient at all. Again, because of the way the meta has been in Chapter 5, it's very common for people to be running snipers or DMRs, and you're probably going to be using that as one of your ranged weapons, or even like the Waterbender mythic. If somebody's like 100 meters away in Chapter 5, I'm not that likely to use my AR against them. I might, depending on the situation, but like more often than not, I'm probably just going to use the sniper at that range, or use the DMR at that range, or even the Waterbender mythic. So if you're already carrying a more specialized range weapon anyways, then like you don't really lose out on much using the burst. The main kind of drawback to using the burst, I think, instead of the AR is times where people are in cars. If somebody's in a car driving away from me, I feel much more likely to beam them with the Warforged AR than the Thunderburst. And then also if someone's shockwaving away from me, kind of the same thing. I feel like hitting players evading is a bit easier with the Warforged AR. When the wings were in the game, I felt the same way. This Current meta, though, we have the Airbender Mythic, which is very prevalent and very good, and a lot of players are using it to just run from fights, right? I felt like I had an easier time today dealing with the Airbender Mythic using the Burst SMG than I did the AR if the person was actually running from me. If they're coming right at me with the Airbender Mythic, I didn't really notice too much of a change. Whether I have the Burst SMG or the AR, I can just beam them. But for people actually being able to evade in like kind of close to medium range, being able to just hip fire them was great, I thought. And then also if you're trying to chase somebody using the Airbender Mythic, like being able to shockwave and then rain shots down on them with the Burst SMG while they're running from you using the Air Mythic, I also found to be a lot more effective than just like ARing them, or if I had to do the same thing with the AR. So there's situations where I'd rather have the AR when people are running, but there's also situations where I'd rather have the Thunderburst if people are running. And the way the current meta plays out, I think I would rather have the Thunderburst if I'm chasing somebody who's using the Airbending Mythic to try to get away. Obviously, it'll depend on range and like the angle and stuff, but I don't know. I just had a really good time playing with the Thunderburst SMG. I think it's very good. I think it's been good all of Chapter 5. People have been sleeping on it all of Chapter 5. And the way the current meta plays out with the Gatekeeper Shotgun and the prevalence of the Airbender Mythic, I think you might find the Thunderburst SMG work a little bit better, especially if you aren't able to get Drum Mag on your Gatekeeper Shotgun. If I had to use a 3-round Gatekeeper Shotgun, I definitely would rather have a Thunderburst over a Warforged AR. But that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys found it helpful, informative, interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of you who are like, yeah, obviously this gun's insane. But I also think there's a lot of people who maybe just started playing the game this season or are more kind of defined in how they think about ranges and how they have to have an AR. And I just don't think that's true necessarily in the current meta. And I think the Thunderburst is very good. I'm going to let some gameplay play out that I got using this weapon. As always, if you guys found this video helpful, informative, interesting, remember to give it a like, sub if you'd like to see more. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. I feel like I'm going to get grief this game because I'm the only person not using that. So I'm just going to get focused. Favorite chapter or chapter 1? I would say 1-4. And then it's hard for me to rate chapter 2. I quit playing then, but I think a lot of it was just personal burnout. So it might be 1-4-3-2 or 1-4-2-3. I don't know. What am I playing? I think there's somebody in this bush, yeah. Oh no, Poseidon has been eliminated. Guy's name is Chase Too Wet. I told you, I was the only one not using the Air Mythic, and so like I maybe get focused because of it, but also like I'm the only one shooting my gun.